Senegal now stands at a defining crossroad. On May 23, 2026, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye dramatically dismissed his long-time ally, Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, and dissolved the entire government. Just 3 days later, on May 26, the National Assembly defied the president and elected the ousted Sonko as President of Parliament with 132 votes. This stunning reversal has ignited a fierce debate. Is Senegal experiencing a governance crisis that threatens its fragile stability, or is this a democratic correction that reaffirms the power of Parliament over executive approach? The rift between Faye and Sonko, once the architect of Senegal's 2024 change government, grew over months of tension, particularly regarding the management of the country's soaring debt crisis and negotiations with the International Monetary Fund. Faye warned in May that their shared party, PASTEF, was on a trajectory that risks leading it to its downfall due to over-dependence on Sonko. The president's decision to fire Sonko and dissolve the cabinet created immediate uncertainty amid Senegal's economic challenges. The National Assembly's choice to reinstate Sonko as Speaker, second in command politically, was a clear signal of legislative independence. Lawmakers voted overwhelmingly despite opposition members boycotting the vote and calling Sonko's return illegal. As Speaker, Sonko now holds a powerful position and platform to challenge President Faye's policies and potentially block legislative initiatives if the president fails to secure parliamentary backing. The world is watching. If Senegal navigates this successfully, it will reinforce its role as Africa's democratic beacon. If it fails, the cost will be measured not just in economic terms, but in the credibility of democratic tensions across the continent. We'll speak on that this day on today's program. Meantime, we'll talk about Benin and the continent, a direct comparison with Africa's power-overstayers, what analysis. Noting on today's program with regards to Benin, Benin has just extended its presidential term from 5 to 7 years, but critically keeping the 2-term limit intact. President Patrick Talon, who stepped down recently after exactly 10 years in power, giving way for Mahmoud Wadakni. On the surface, it looks like a modest constitutional tweak, yet the broader African context reveals a stark contrast. Benin is choosing orderly transition, while much of the continent remains trapped in a culture of power overstaying and has positioned or poisoned democracy for decades. What can other African countries learn from Benin? We'll discuss that on today's program. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to today's program, the Pan-African Debate. This is on your Pan-African channel, Afrique Media. It's always a pleasure knowing that you're watching us, and today, of course, we discuss issues and events that affects the African continent. Our eyes today will be fixed on Senegal. Diomaye Faye versus Sonko. We're looking at whether governance crisis or democratic correction. That's, of course, the topic we're discussing today. And meantime, we'll have time to discuss Benin as well versus the continent. Of course, a direct comparison with Africa's power overstayers. What analysis? We're looking at the recent handover to the new president after Patrice Talon served 2 terms and left office. We're looking at the contrast with other African countries where leaders prefer to stay longer in power, changing constitutions to favor them. Of course, we will have time to equally hear from you. If you're watching us, you can always leave us a comment on our Facebook page, those of you watching us live on Facebook, and we'll give time for you to call us. If you have time, you can call us directly. The numbers will be on your screen for you to share your thoughts with us. And this program will have different opinions from our guests who are joining us today on the program. We'll begin with Dr. David Matsanga, who is a political expert and international relations, of course, international relations expert and political scientist. Dr. David Matsanga, it's a pleasure having you on today's program. Welcome to join us.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you very much, fellow Africans listening to us. Thank you very much. Let's engage.
Thank you, Dr. David Matsanga, for answering the invitation. We have equally Prof. Mark Anthony. You are a Pan-Africanist. It's a pleasure having you on today's program. Welcome to join us.
Thank you very much for receiving me today, and I think it's a wonderful thing to be here. I just want to say good afternoon to Africans and to my fellow panelists. And I want to extend a handshake to the people of my own community, the Bijankuku people, and as well as the Mokwe people in Oya. Thank you very much.
Thank you for accepting to be part of the program. Mr. Tagia from Hong Kong, it's a pleasure having you on today's program. You are a civil society actor. Thanks for accepting to be with us this day.
Thank you, Luis, to invite me today. It's really a big pleasure. Also, thank you to give me the opportunity to open my views about these two important topics. I want to also greet my co-panelist, Prof. and Dr. David, for what we are going to try to bring up today. Help me also accept also that I can greet my own people in my own language, and program Webway Afrique Media. So thank you to all Africa, our televiewers. You are with you. We'll try and give our best to put some light on these two topics.
Thank you, of course, for being here. Once again, thank you for those of you watching us. So, get right away with you. We already started with you, Dr. David Matsanga. We look at what is happening currently in Senegal. We're talking about a governance crisis or a democratic correction. From your point of view, we're looking at the tension that has existed between SONKO and FAYE for a while before the dramatic dismissal, which now led to SONKO being elected as Speaker of the National Assembly in Senegal. What is your take on that? Democratic correction or the political crisis?
First of all, it has disappointed me. I'm one of the few people you know very well. Between me and you, I was one of the few people campaigning very vigorously for the younger men to be released from prison. I think you remember very well that we had, you and I had several programs here. And I campaigned, I told Mark Saar, I went to African Union. We almost wrestled each other on the floor in the African Union hall when he was going to have his dinner, his lunch. I called him names. I said, you are a very bad, stupid man. And the security were coming. I said, what can you do to a big guy like me? This guy is a bad guy. Why do you lock up two younger men? And I continued with several programs on South African television every morning, calling on Macky Sall and exposing what was happening in Senegal. Few weeks after Addis Ababa, this man, ashamed, he released FAYE, then remained with SONKO. Again, after a few more punches and more punches, and believe me, social media works. We were able to get these two guys out of prison. They have disappointed me. I've been into Senegal several times. I've tried to look at their analysis. I've analyzed both of them. I think SONKO is Pan-Africanist. He wants to work with Pan-Africanism and with African views, and is the person who doesn't want to have anything to do with the colonial master. FAYE still has a hop step and a jump retreat. One morning he blows hot, one evening he blows cold. And he still wants to maintain the relationship that he has with the former colonial master. It's like your place where you are. I don't want to bring it here because it pains me so much that people maintain us. We have been maintained like animals up to today. And that we have nothing to say except decision is made elsewhere. But when I looked at those two, I knew there was going to be a problem. I knew it. And that in Africa, one thing that teaches you, don't ever give up everything until everything is finished. Sonko gave up everything and trusted this guy. We are not, you know, you blame colonial masters, but ourselves, we are never trusted. If I tell this gentleman, I think it's only me and you, whom you call at short notice, who is trusted with you. Other people, you say, you should have given me notice. And I come for your meetings all the time. For almost 3 years now, I've been coming to your shows. And look, there is something wrong in Africa. We don't have self-confidence amongst ourselves. These are two younger men whom we thought they were going to be the symbol of hope for other generations to take over power. Now, if you do the things that you have done in Senegal, which African leader who has stayed there will want to relinquish power? He will say, look at this. They say they want power, but look at what they are doing. So for me, it is a very disturbing, and I think it is going to blow up. It is coming slowly, boiling, and African Union is watching. Nobody has gone there. I'm planning to leave for Senegal on Monday to be able to be in the capital city. I've had contacts, telephone contacts with both of them. They are my friends. I've been talking to them. I've talked to the minister, the lady, the former minister of Foreign Affairs, a lady whom I met in Accra, Ghana, when she was in exile, still thrown out of that place by Makassar in Kempinski Hotel. We have been communicating. I've talked to her. She told me the problems are the bosses. So we are trying to see behind the channels informal contact and make sure that they come resolve this conflict. Because right now, as it stands until November, even if November you dissolve, I don't think FAYE has a chance to win an election unless he steals an election in Senegal. He has no chance. Sonko will sweep him very early in the morning. So it is again another problem of Africa. Another problem of Africa. And I'm sad. In fact, I don't have many words to say about this. I'm very, very disappointed with these guys. But to end here and return the mic to you, our former colonial master is not sleeping. He hasn't slept. You know it very well. In your own place, he doesn't sleep. In fact, your place is like he has put angels. There are angels watching. Even you, when you're in the studio there's an angel there watching. That guy, they are not sleeping. Because if they lose this one, it is one of the territories we are looking for him to lose. But I can see my professor friend there not comfortable. But me, I talk my words. You know, if you don't... there is one thing, Professor, if you don't want me to come to your own, I live in a better place than your own. So why do you stop me? It is for your benefit for Dr. Matsanga to fly to your place. So if an African country says, don't come to my country, there's sunshine in Portugal, in Spain, in Dubai. I don't come. Don't worry. You have it, Mr. Paul Biya. Have the sunshine and the heat. You will live it. I don't care. And I speak my mind. You can't detain people for life. For life. And then you call yourself a president. No. So this behavior must end. Must end. God, you see me every day on African issues. I'm not an NGO. In fact, the other time I criticized my friend here for being an NGO, going for a conference of NGO in Accra. What were you in Burkina Faso? What were you doing there? NGOs are very bad syndrome that has caused Africa a problem. Because someone sits there, I say, do a budget for me. Tell me how you spend the money. What? Africa, in 70 years of independence, are you not able to to get money to fund your own projects. So for me, my brother, Sonko and the FAYE have embarrassed Africa. Let's watch the events, but they don't seem to be very good. Over to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Matsanga. Just like you highlighted, many actually looked up to FAYE and Sonko as two young people who were shining the light for Pan-Africanism. But one has proven to be undisputed Pan-Africanist, while the other continues to play politics with the West, something which many Pan-Africanists and young people in Africa are against. Professor Mark Anthony, you're a Pan-Africanist. When you look at Sonko and FAYE, it started off very well. Just like Doctor highlighted, many young people were looking up to them. At this point in time, we've seen the two have proven to be who they are, and their true colors are out. One being Pan-Africanist and one is probably under pressure. Should we say under pressure, or is still playing the politics of the West?
It is the head that carries the load that feels the weight. You see, most of the times it is easy to criticize, but understanding what it takes to carry that burden is when you are in that seat. That's what makes it different.
So that's why we say, is he under pressure?
I'm coming, I'm developing. And so when you look at the situation between FAYE and Sonko, you might want to define it from the position of a layman by saying that no, one person betrayed the other. But from an analytical position, I want us to go back and look at things. I think a president is supposed to execute what he was voted for, what he campaigned for. On which policies did you present to the people, and what did you tell them that will be accomplished? That is what should be used as a measuring rod to know if FAYE, as the president of Senegal, is actually walking by campaign promise. I posted a certain post on Facebook the other day, actually asking a question to the world. You know the slogan that was used? FAYE is Sonko and Sonko is FAYE. What was the implication of that? First, that was to make us understand that there's a bond that cannot be broken. And what were they presenting to the people? They made Senegalese to believe that it is going to, the economy will be controlled by them, which means they were vying for an economic independence from, in quotes, the colonial master, or put it whatever way you want to put it. In the midst of this, they also presented a situation where they will have control over their sovereignty. That is the Pan-African cry. And the young people are willing and wishing to see what has happened with Burkina Faso happening all over Africa. And so there is pressure. Truth be told, the president takes the decision, and the prime minister, who is the head of the government, executes the decisions of the president. But at a particular moment, if you realize it has been for months, these two have not been working effectively. Why? Because the economic positions of FAYE were dictated to him from somewhere. That's why that seat, president in Africa, you are not having the full capacity to control it, because there are people who are pushing buttons from somewhere else telling you to do this, or you don't do that, or you don't do that. And since in reality, FAYE is not the guy who was preparing for that kind of seat. He just came into it because maybe let's just say that was a divine direction for him to get into it. Because the person who was preparing to execute the policies of PASTEF as a party, which FAYE ran for, was SONKO. So at this moment, FAYE is in between the Red Sea, or say the Black Sea, we'll call it the Deep Sea, and the devil. So he does not know how to live up to his policies, because there are other policies dictated to him from the West. FAYE, SONKO, as an individual, doesn't care anymore. Why? Because he has something he ran for. He wants the people to hold on to it, and he wants the people to realize that they are truthful to their words. And FAYE as an individual does not have that strength. And so he is bending towards the direction of those making the dictates. IMF has come in, the World Bank has come in. All these bodies are engineered. We know how they came into existence. They were not created for Africa. They were created for Europe. And if Europe has to work with them, I mean, if Africa has to work with them, Africa will work with them based on their own policies, not based on African dictates. And so this becomes a very difficult situation for FAYE. So if you ask me, has FAYE betrayed SONKO? In a normal situation, we'll say yes. But in another way, he has not. He's looking for a way out. And you see, it was a shock that he dismissed SONKO. The world wasn't expecting that. It is true that, you know, last year we were in a debate and somebody told me these two will break out, and I said it's a lie. They will not. I didn't believe that it will happen. I thought FAYE would do everything possible and wait for his 4 years to come to an end. Is it 4 or 5 years? 5 years. Yes. So I was expecting that he would do everything possible to delay his time comes to an end. Then he takes the advantage now to to say, okay, SONKO, please, oh yeah, you can now come in. I thought that's what he was going to do.
All right.
But from the fact that SONKO has been publicly critical of his president, has put the man in pressure. And you know, when SONKO is criticizing publicly, his followers are exempting him from the errors of FAYE. So it is better for FAYE to fire him and bear the cross and say, okay, let me do it my way. Stay there out. Let me do it my way, and then let the people of Senegal fall on my head when it's time.
Okay.
I think that was the decision he took. Then say no, get away. If you saw what happened, I don't know if it was yesterday, was it today, where SONKO, in his magnanimity, actually handed over power to the new prime minister. There was a swift transfer of power without any chaos. In fact, the way he even appreciated the new prime minister made us believe that, wow, he's going to be effective at work. So I think that the democracy and display of let me say of maturity in politics that SONKO has displayed makes me believe that he will be a great leader in Africa not long from now. He's already taking steps. But I also believe that FAYE, even though people are thinking that this might be his end, he might still have a lot to give. And I'm seeing them not reconciling not long from now, because everyone who sits on that seat finds it difficult
Right.
to take decisions without a colonial master.
Okay. Thank you very much. External pressure, the fight for sovereignty, Mr. Tagia, I know you've talked much about the role that the West has on African countries, especially West African countries, and we're looking at the probability and the possibility of FAYE succeeding and this position in which he finds himself right now. Many are talking about pressure from outside. Do you see his decision being influenced by pressure from outside, or do you think what he's doing is personally geared towards, like Prof said, realizing his dreams? Or I don't know, what do you think?
Definitely, I don't think personally that decision to remove Sonko as Prime Minister came strictly from me. And that way I'm really frightened that a big problem coming. I'm not so much.
Can he speak up? Can he speak up and we hear him? I can't hear him.
I'm really not optimistic. I'm seeing the syndrome of Ouattara in a way coming to Senegal, because it's very easy to
I saw that.
let from the mainland to think that most of the Pan-Africanists, they will all support Sonko, because Sonko is a guy who wants the sovereignty of Senegal to respect it. While on the other hand, that way they split it really is that FAYE wanted to renew the issue of the debt. The debt is too high and all. I wanted to renew. The point is that guy is in a very difficult seat. He had promises taking power. Now the unemployment has gone up. The economic conditions haven't really performed so much as he wanted. Because on the seat, as Prof really developed in a way, once you are out, at the time you are out, certain things seem very simple. But when you sit, they are not as simple as you think. So where he stood, the only way for him to fulfill these promises was to renew. Not willingly, but because the conditions that he had in front of him, he had to renew those financials. He wanted to take back that debt. Why Sonko really wanted that sovereignty. The point is that sovereignty, you have, as he had now, over 60% coming and taking, be the president of parliament. Showing people are very happy when you talk of sovereignty, because everybody is excited of what is happening in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. But the point is to be the reality, to live the reality, because the reality is not as easy as we think. The reality is not as easy as we think. The case of Senegal can never be like the one of Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
People have to get that. These army people talk arms, talk power, talk, the power of arms that you have in hands. You have to respect that. But Senegal cannot stand with this kind. And now people are backing Sonko. I would have liked it. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I would have liked myself to back it as simple. But things are not as simple as people think. And I'm sure that the next term, definitely, Sonko is going to take power. Now, you have to face those dreams, to put them into practice, to see people coming and backing him. We have a saying that you only know the power of the cord when that cord is being pulled. As long as it's not being pulled, you feel that cord is very strong. But when you pull it, that you see. So between the two, I really think there was a great friendship. There was a great friendship. And that friendship would have given something for us, Africa, for African people. That was a big dream. To see what can this youth, what can young people as them bring to Africa as an example. But the point is that on the table, I always call it on the table, les agendas cachés. You don't see them when people are talking. But those who are signing are just performing what these authorities under the table are saying. My friend, you better sign this. You don't sign that what you are going to face. You don't sign this is what you are going to face. Now, we have on the other side all African people, we are dreaming for that sovereignty that SONKO is dreaming for. But my point is it possible? And that's why I started to say, I'm afraid of seeing, because that the syndrome of what I was simple as that. You have to satisfy France. France always behind. Senegal is another son before, just like Cameroon and many other countries. And these guys, they are still holding Africa so strongly and all. And we need to take that in account, whether we like it or not. And mostly France has lost so much, seeing Niger going with the issue of uranium and all this. You know, what we are having even in that same Senegal is not new. We had between Watt and Macky Sall, the same kind of thing before. We had the same issue between, I think in Ivory Coast, Gbagbo and voila, before all the way, and in Kenya and other countries. The point is, for me, reality. My dream, my prayers would have been that these two, they manage seeing the truth in face. Not dreaming, not bringing the people to say, all what we promise you, we can do. Because being on the spot, you do it using the means coming from where? Let them define first the means rather than thinking and making people. Because I see the case of SONKO maybe worse coming. Because when it takes power, I am sure the next elections is going to win the elections. Because I think it's 63%. That's it. That he get to be the president of the National Assembly. He's going to win the elections. But now sitting to fulfill the promises people won. They promised to people. You know, remember it was FAYE was who was the president of campaign of the other one between the two? No, because normally Sonko was meant to be president, but I think he had some problem with justice or as Prof said before. Let's just say that was the hand of God, and maybe the campaign manager, and all this. So I think that it is better to start now, not to let people dream much, because things might worsen. Okay. Rather than making people carry on dreaming big things, not having seen FAYE performing all what he promised during his campaign, because I don't think it'll be easier for SONKO, and it might worse, because people will not see again another alternative. At the moment, people see the alternative in SONKO, but when he takes now power, sovereignty, that's very good, beautiful word and all. And we as Pan-Africanists, we want to be sovereign, to do our thing by ourselves. But are the doors, which doors are really open? Okay. So that's my own view, just to be careful.
Thank you very much. You got you on that, Mr. Tagia. And you're talking about the choice of SONKO now. There's an alternative. That's why many see FAYE acting differently. We'll talk with you, Dr. David Matsanga. Do you think if SONKO was the position of FAYE at the moment, do you think there was a possibility for him to have acted different, considering the pressure which we know is coming from outside and considering the circumstances surrounding the present mandate? Now, do you think SONKO should have or would have acted differently from what we're seeing FAYE doing at the moment? You're muted, Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, it's fine now.
I am not Angel Gabriel to know what would happen. But I want to be very candid. First, let me correct a few impressions. SONKO was banned from standing for presidency.
Yes. It was bad.
My professor talked about in his introduction. He forgot that. He was told never to be a voter. You remember? So we started, this guy was the one in prison, was a voter. And he had his rights. He had been put in prison, FAYE, but he had the rights to stand for elections anywhere. So this man says, please, brother, since I'm still in prison, you go. You go. And the campaign, I will come, and since I cannot stand for presidency, you stand for presidency. That's a good sign of politics, maturity. maturity. And if people in Africa all behaved that way, our continent would not be having the problems that we have elsewhere in Africa, including your place and my place and other places. That's an impression I wanted to correct. Now, would Sonko act differently? I'm not an angel to know, but I think Sonko's behavior has been tested. His character has been tested. He's not a man. He's liked. He has the population behind him. You see the way he has moved. He even welcomed the new prime minister very well. No problem. He knows he has played a very good politics that he'll catch Mr. FAYE. When Mr. FAYE brings a budget, you catch him. And they say, no, we are not giving you money. This is too much. This is expenditure. This is that. So at the end of the day, Mr. FAYE, in fact, that time I proposed to them to have a rotational type of presidency. FAYE 5 years or 4 years, another one 4 years. And the lady from America, who was the foreign minister, was so much around. I think he wanted whom representing some other forces, I don't know. They didn't want that idea at all. But what does this teach us as Africans? What is it teaching us? My brother, the man from sovereignty, where are we when we reach out to IMF? What is IMF? IMF is part and parcel of a tool that was left there. Colonialism disappeared. Neocolonialism remained through IMF. If you don't toe the line, they squeeze your country, they put you on sanctions, they blacklist you, they tell you your economy is not working well, and even withhold money. So, do you want to go that route? We have a lot of resources in Africa. In Senegal itself, it has a lot of resources. If we started doing a trade between ourselves in Africa, we would not be bothering about who is the external darker forces coming to us, yes or no. We would be doing things a very good way. But unfortunately, Africa, as usual, it has become a problem. It is a problem, and it continues to be a problem. Another point that I want to raise is our former colonial masters. They have not left us. Do you not see that every opposition leader in Africa currently is in exile or prison? Apart from one in Ghana, Liberia, where else? Which had elections. Botswana, Mozambique, we returned. I helped to return the tall guy back. The short guy, he was running away in Zambia. I went and collected him to go back. Do you notice that most of your opposition leaders are in exile now? They have run. Because we have a problem in Africa. Some people did not leave us alone. Some people still operate from behind the scenes. Yours in Cameroon is away. Mine in Uganda is away eating sausages in America somewhere. In Tanzania, Mr. Tundu Lissu is eating food from prison. In another country, where in Chamisa, in Zimbabwe, is off and on. He has decided to go for a master's degree or a PhD in Harvard. So you not see that most of the opposition leaders in Africa have fallen out. Sonko will definitely fall out with FAYE. And if we are not careful, the game might not be as good as we think. The game might be very bad. The end might be bad. Luckily enough, Senegal's army is professional. It doesn't have, but in an army, I've been an army man myself. You don't rule out professionalism in an army. One captain can come up and sweep you, even if you're a major general, and you are under his orders. So armies are not professional. The only army that I've seen professional is America, is Britain. It is professional. They don't come to the streets. But American army, the way Trump was acting, they almost wanted to tell Trump, you are very bad. We can come for you. In this Iran war, you saw how many generals surrendered. So for me, I just want to say one thing. African Union has got what we call, I would like the professor, my other younger man in the studio, to think about this. We have African Union. We have Political Peace and Security Commission of African Union. Why is it not helping us at all? Isn't it time, Professor, for us to change this name from African Union to Organization of African Unity? Maybe the word unity can make us unite. This union has lost us. We are lost. There's nothing. Look, a conflict like that, nobody is there to help the two people to come together. We have a political commission in Addis Ababa. It should have gone there to help people to come to bridge the differences and say, sit down, please, you are brothers, tell us what your problem is and solve the problem. But we don't have. African Union is dead, is captured by the same powers. I've been talking about this, but people don't listen to me. So for me, also, I've reached my stage that I say, the Bible said, when you preach and the people don't take what you have preached, carry the dust and go away. I can shock you that there are so many people that have died in southern Cameroon, in Nigeria, in DRC Congo. But when you go to African Union and ask for the data, how many people are in jail? African Union does not have it. Somebody has cleaned the data bank as if there is nothing there in African Union. I was shocked. All these things that are happening in your country, there's nothing there. So for me, bro, I think Africa must stand up to avoid the circumstances. Trust is very important. If a friend has left you with a shirt to go and do an interview, and you get the interview, buy 2 shirts and return him. Please, we have very bad manners on this continent. People are not appreciative. Everything. We don't appreciate others. FAYE should have not talked about Sonko. Would have told Sonko, can we do a rotational president? 2 years, 2 years. You take 2, I take 2. That's it. They all came from together. But now, the biggest problem as I land and hand over the mic back to somebody else, are the hangers on. We have very dangerous people with blue suits. Those who run around the president's so-called advisors. They have created a mafia ring that prevents, even when, you see, have you noticed that in Africa, somebody can be your friend, like my brother there who is owning this studio. But if you appoint him a minister of foreign affairs for your own day, this guy will not pick your phone. Yes. But every minute now, he has been picking our phones. He has been calling us. All of you in the studio think about that. That guy will not, as soon as he becomes the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cameroon, his phone will go, will ring, and you have been a friend. So power is something very difficult. I have noticed my friends. There are people that I have shared with in these 40 years of my exile in London. I've shared with people, I've helped them to resettle, but none of them, once they get power back home or anywhere, They pick a phone and say, oh, David, what are you eating tonight? No. No. They just don't do it. So we have a problem there. Let's start to cultivate what we call trust amongst ourselves. That's why you see liberation of some places. People start dividing themselves. If you look today, 30th of May, if you look at your website or your Twitter, do you know how many groups you will see talking about Biafra today? About 6 groups. Each group has got its own Biafra. They are celebrating Biafra. How will you liberate yourselves? We don't have trust amongst ourselves. We lose it out all the time. So for me, it is sad. Let me watch the situation. As I've told you, by Monday, I will be traveling to Dakar. And they will give me, I've notified the PA to collect me at the airport. I want to speak as a mature African state leader. And we talk about it because some of us also wasted a lot of time on them coming out of prison. So let's see what we can do, but it is not a very good situation across in Senegal. Thank you very much.
All right, Dr. Matsanga, we got you on that.
And I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Meiji. I am not a fan of my Arsenal, but I am a fan of Liverpool for 47 years. But because today Arsenal is playing some funny group from France, I'm going to support Arsenal. And that's why the match is about to start. Brother, if you don't see me, I have gone to watch. I don't like football, especially anything from France, because France has stolen our players from Africa. Bumpy is from Cameroon. He has stolen them and taken them, then he displays them. Bumpy, that is, these are African players, not yours. So for me, I speak my mind, that Jamen, Professor, please cry for Bumpy. You know, if you go, that Professor, if you go to Paris, do you know where the father of Bumpy was staying before? In the slums. In the slums. And you see, what is this thing called? Binoculars. This, the coach were coming, those who want to take them, we are seeing the football from the binoculars. That one. Now, we Africans, you people, please, you younger generation, for me, I've talked, I'm 70 going home. Please, struggle for this place. That type, you know, 11 players, no, 10 players out of 11 are from Africa. A man has taken our players, turned them into his. It's when they make money, it's when they are recognized. But if you are not making money, you stay in the slums of Paris. That's fast. Playing music, dancing music, and just before the white people dance, you know. You. So that's why any team from that country, God, today, listen, please, let us not take it back to UK. Because UK, at least in UK, Dr. Matsanga was going to become an MP. I had been selected by the Labour government to become an MP for Croydon West constituency in Surrey, Labour Party, in 1998. But when Tony Blair now started condemning Mugabe, I disagreed. I put up my hand and disagreed with Tony Blair. I said, no, you are rubbish. Because I didn't want an African man to be harassed in my presence. At least in Britain, you can be allowed to stand up to the MP. I was going to be a member of parliament from Africa direct, from East Africa, let me say so. Because there are some people from Ghana, direct elected for Croydon Central. By then, the constituency was called Croydon Central. It's now Croydon West. A majority constituency where I was going to pass. I had done the primaries. I had won. In fact, I won the primaries, but two, my Nigerian friends who were my agents sold my vote. So I stood as an independent, and I got 14,575 votes against the winner, who had 17,000. It is close. My Nigerian friends have never been very good to me, but I am good to them. Eh? I gave them one of the constituencies to manage. They were paid money, and they sold my my vote. Eh? So thank you. Let me watch this match. I think it's about to start. And you can see the whole Africa looks like it has kept quiet where I am. But for me, at least I know my team. I know the names of the players of my team. Some people shout Arsenal when they don't know the names of their teams. So thank you very much. God bless you. I wish you, thank you for calling me. I hope I've made some contribution, and God will help us on this journey in Senegal.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Dr. David Matsanga. We wish you all the best in your ambience out there following the match, and we continue with the debates here in the studio. And
I don't think you are supporting PSG.
Well, I will not say that on air.
No, you say in the air. Don't be shy.
No,
Which team do you support?
We'll say that off air, Dr. David Matsanga. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Bless.
And of course, as I was talking, Prof, SONKO is now technically the second politically most powerful man in Senegal at the moment. I will look at his dismissal by FAYE. Do you think it was, a calculated move to consolidate power? Do you think it was a genuine move to reset the government, or do you think it's a miscalculation that now led to SONKO being elected as, Speaker of the National Assembly, which makes him now the second most powerful political personality in the country?
Technically, it is going to be let me use the word irrational. If the president of a political party, of the ruling political party, is actually humiliated, because I'll tell you, the dismissal was taken by the party as a humiliation. And the party remains and does nothing to fix it. It will be irrational. So, if you notice, it has been for a while that FAYE has been doing everything possible to reshape the party towards his image. But it is not possible, because that party has been built on the strength, the voice, the blood, the sleepless nights, the prison terms of SONKO. Yeah. So, you imagine from 2012 till present date, that party has seen SONKO on the streets. That party has seen SONKO putting fire in people from different areas. So he has been there. He has been a parliamentarian. He has been a mayor. He was appointed prime minister. But all that, we cannot say came from nowhere, came from his work. And so the party practically has been built in his image. It's a brand that he has created. The so-called PASTEF is the image of SONKO. That is the same party that gave FAYE a platform to sit as the president of the nation. And I will be sincere to tell you that loyalists of the party will look at it like a crime that a president sacked the prime minister, whom in other terms is his boss, because he's a boss of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And from that direction, if you notice, just I think 2 days after he was dismissed,
Yeah.
his Speaker of the House, El Malik,
Resign.
said, I'm resigning.
Mm-hmm.
But that was now a decision that the party had sat behind and walked out and said, no, we have to raise our president back to power. It is strategic. If not, SONKO might stay behind and break the party, because the intention of the president was actually to sway away the party followers towards something, because he had been having discussion, then came on air, told the people the party should not be branded in the image of an individual, but it should be. That individual has not been against the rules of the party, neither has he been against democracy. That individual has been the same individual who has fought to see that that dimension of democracy is established in Senegal. And so they do not see any reason why the party should not be in his image. And so you see loyalists like Malik who choose to resign as the president of the National Assembly. Not everybody does that.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that. Resigning because he wants to see his boss take his position. The real boss. Take that seat. So he said, I'm stepping down. What actually got my my head worked up in that their stuff was the fact that I think his term of office, I don't know if he suspended his term of office in 2022.
Yeah.
And the parliament had been dissolved, so his term of office should have ended as well. So I was trying to understand how he got back that.
I don't know.
So there's a magic that the party played, and that's why other opposition parties, especially the former ruling party, actually got off mad. Say this is no more democracy. They have looked for a way to bring back SONKO into power, and they did everything possible. First of all, out of 162, it's 160. 60 members in the party, and 160 members in parliament, 130
Yeah.
belong to the SONKO. So what do you expect? They have to do everything, and that is why when the president tried to get to the Constitutional Council to stop the Constitutional Council said no, we do not have power in that direction. It's a parliament that has authority to do what they want, they can do, and what they want to do.
And he has a majority in parliament.
And he has a majority in parliament. So they did the work so swift and swore him in. He's already the Speaker of the National Assembly in Senegal. That, I will tell you, is a very calculated move.
Okay.
I don't want to think that just happened.
It's miscalculated on the part of FAYE.
No, yes, FAYE did not see that coming.
Okay.
No, he didn't see that coming. The thing is, if you notice, as I said, he has been doing everything possible to build power because he knows how he came to that place. So he has been doing everything to build power. From the time he started having clashes with SONKO, he started doing something, having consultations, struggling to relate with people on a personal basis, struggling to call in political parties to talk with them and try to build, consolidate something. That already was speaking in the hearts of people. And you know, if you notice, the first outing of Sonko as the president of the National Assembly was to remind FAYE that the present prime minister was selected without consulting the passive party, which is the ruling party, which is against the principles of the party, and said there cannot be a passive out of passive without passive. So the party must be the party, not divided. And not because you are a president that you have the right to decide out of a constituted listen. Now you know the issue with the Senegalese constitution is that it gives power to the party which elected the president into office. You cannot select without going back to the party. You must select members of government coming also from the very party. So who are those who are going to be ministers? They are still loyalists of Pasteur.
That is to come to something.
So it's going to really be a serious clash between FAYE and Sonko if they do not get to agree.
All right.
Because at this moment it is very wise, it will be very wise for FAYE to play along and do what he can. Because let's be sincere, at the moment he cannot dissolve the present parliament because he just did one. It's not up to 2 years, and the constitution says you can only do that after at least 2 years. So let's wait and see. After, it might be from November if he's not going to dissolve the present parliament again.
All right.
So let's wait and see.
All right, thank you on that. It's actually a wait and see if he's going to dissolve the parliament, but we're looking at the fact that now Sonko as Speaker of Assembly, which means that he has now the power to block the maybe negotiations and political agenda, economic reforms of FAYE. The fact that Sonko was humiliated, being removed as the Prime Minister, and now as Speaker of National Assembly. How do you see that position he now occupies affecting FAYE's decisions moving forward?
I put a lot of hope only on Sonko in all what is going on in Senegal. Because for me, I think that FAYE is manipulated. That really what I'm seeing behind. He's in a very hot seat, actually, himself. And that's why at the end, I know that from that hot seat, it wasn't even easy for him to have really, to take a good decision, because it was at a point where Sonko standing publicly was like, speaking like things that are not really, not good for him to speak while the president is there. So it's not easy. We look at it mostly on the side of Sonko as a Pan-Africanist. We are very happy. We are going to stay. But I say it is on a very hot seat. And it's not. I don't think that all these decisions, all this. I think that guy, the pressure from outside, and we know how France work. It never come on the table. It never come on the table. Why am I saying now he's on a hot seat? Is that whether in November he really dissolve it in the National Assembly or not, the pressure from the predators is that you have to continue in power. That's really where is my fear, to create a situation. As we see that how West has been working all the time. When you see even America doing that, they always create something, create a situation, and they come back try to settle that situation. You see, that we are not seeing at the moment, that we can't see at the moment. But I'm just saying it in a blueprint, something like that might happen. Because we have someone who is really Senegal sovereignty coming on. And his people being behind him for that. And on the other side, I see like more FAYE was in a place of realistic. being more realistic.
Yes.
And that's why at the end of the day, I was really shocked when they went to the point of splitting. I thought that being young, trying to be an example to Africa, even with all the hopes they raise with young people, with the younger generation all over Africa, they were going to find a way out. Maybe FAYE wasn't completely honest as a president with all what was coming out. I think that also, I say that why also, because you look at it also, one of the problems was about the budget of the presidency, or the president, the budget and of the prime minister. You know, at the level of two people like that, I was really surprised that they had, a misunderstanding at that level, seeing how high people have lifted them up, lifted them, helped them really. I was really surprised to see that they could reach that kind of misunderstanding. And I was really shocked and very, very disappointed for that one already coming. When you see this kind of misunderstanding coming, you see a door that predators like to use. You see the door attracting, bringing now in pretension, which is not going to marry again all the promises SONKO has been fighting for in prison. Coming out, giving these dreams to the young people. If these guys now they are standing and talking about the budget, because when you look at the budget, you look at the private also. Private, your private wins, your private benefits. What are you going to get from all that? And that is the door that predators like to use. When this come on, they like to use. Okay, fine. For that, try to sack him. Sack him first. Okay, fine. He has people. We have a plan. This is what we are going to do. It is not, nobody is unaware of the ways that West has been working for all the time. And that's really where the worry is for that country that was seeming like, it was looking like, the dream for democracy in Africa that many countries were admiring and seeing like, Cameroon, we coming from Cameroon, we say, oh, how can we do something like Senegal is doing? So I was really shocked that they went up to that point of having a misunderstanding, separation, and even a misunderstanding about the issues, like private issues now coming this kind, but not looking at really the dreams, the race, even SONKO fighting on all his life, now reaching that point of why do you give that budget? Maybe it was too, he thought it was too small and all this, but it came up in the air, and gradually also, I think that supporting SONKO is true. I think that SONKO made quite some mistake by coming in the air, coming publicly, and not, FAYE is the president. At the end of the day, you accepted him to be the president. So you really need, and you cannot have in the same kingdom, you cannot have two kings. This is how these things work. You can't have two kings in the same kingdom. They knew it right from the beginning in April 2024. They knew it when they took the decision, and they knew that I'm going to be there like this, maybe, but going to the point that going publicly also. So I'm really coming back. I'm always looking at the case of FAYE and seeing the guy, the hot seat where he is, and seeing the syndrome of Ouattara. Maybe tempting him, not maybe tempting him, obliging him to say, guy, you are going to have nothing. You will be nothing. If this man takes power, you will be nothing, because you were just there because he couldn't sit there due to his past. So that's really what is my worry for Senegal.
Mm-hmm. And of course, thank you for that, Mr. Chage. Prof, if this stand-up continues, what do you think the political future of Senegal will look like? For the moment, like Mr. Chage said, Senegal is considered the most stable democracy in West Africa. And we're seeing what is happening now, and the future looks a bit bleak.
You see, I made a post the other day and I said, if you look at things critically, you realize that what happened with Gyonzoro is what was planned for SONKO. He was supposed to be sent out and later on implicated, and finally he will go on the exam. That was the plan. But something happened which was not foreseen. The fact that they brought him back into power. That is what destroyed that whole plan. But let's be sincere, it has not yet ended.
Yeah, we look at the decision, oppositions were the ones who were instead against the fact that he was reinstated.
Yes, the opposition has to do that because they don't know when he was elected as a parliamentarian.
Yeah, his
His term
parliamentary
of office
was
ended
only
in
suspended.
2022, was suspended, yes.
Suspended, yeah.
That government, that particular parliament was dissolved. That's the way I'm looking at it. Or are they saying that once you suspend it, it's indefinite? Because I don't understand. From mine, it can be indefinite.
Yeah,
Mine
it
way
can
is
be indefinite.
anytime you come, you can come in.
You can come in. Maybe it's in the text. I'm surprised of that. I don't really know how.
It actually, they quoted the law. And
Prof, just allow me to cut you for one minute. That also where I kept some hope. You know, these issues of politics, there might be an understanding between the two. You know, in the air, I'm hoping that's a hope. Yeah, because in the air, you know, for the world, how the world will see, we might see, you know, this guy, but at the end, they have something, knowing what the predators are planning behind, and that may be the opening that they might give for something coming. So that's why you said, give me that 1 minute before you carry on.
I'm driving towards something. So, like I said, the plan, those who had mastermind this dismissal, because I don't see FAYE doing that. It did it out of pressure. But doing that did not come by chance. So something had been cooked also from behind. So I was looking at it like, okay, bringing SONKO back into the government as a parliamentarian, and this time around the Speaker of the House has a step ahead. He's the only person now who can successfully replace FAYE constitutionally. So what if FAYE gets up tomorrow and resign the same way Malik resigned? Who sits in that seat? What's the plan? So I am looking at it from a point of, okay, maybe these guys are playing a card.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Where let's make them know that they are winning. Why we do some stuff from behind, draw this thing and see how we can take it to another level. And if in case it just happens today that FAYE gets up tomorrow and tell people, okay, I've resigned, I don't want to be president anymore. It's going to shock people, but who comes in? SONKO. And if SONKO is coming in, that becomes a different ball game altogether. And I don't know if their constitution is like that of Cameroon, where you need to sit and organize an election, or you just sit indefinitely until the term of office is over. But it is a ball game that they are playing that is so strategic. Let's be sincere. So if that is where they are, then
she didn't see the chapeau like the Frank man said.
We are in for more drama.
Yeah, come in.
And that means that they are actually playing a chess game that is permitting them to be 2 steps ahead of the masterminders of the destabilization of Senegal. We know in Africa that there are individuals who are doing everything possible to make sure Africa does not play their chess game, destabilize us in different ways. But I'm seeing these young guys, if that is what is there, then they are doing a good job.
Wonderful job.
They are doing a good job. I said here earlier that I still see that they are going to reconcile. That one is not a problem. This is politics. Reconciliation is not something.
You remember the journey of FAYE in France?
Yeah, that particular journey, and even the one he had presently in Kenya.
In Kenya.
It was,
I see something behind.
Lord that has been walking from behind. So we want to, let's hope that they know what they are doing. Let's hope that they become the inspiration that Africa needs to see how to overcome the present state of dominance that the West has over Africa. If they play their card well, I think they will inspire a generation in Africa that is going to...
That level of subtlety will be a lesson that many are going to learn from.
So I think if that is their game, we should waiting for more drama, and not only waiting for drama, but we should see a reason
behind
to say that there's hope for Africa.
And probably there's certainly hope for Africa. And just like you said, highlighting Mr. Tagia, if what is happening in Senegal is an internal political mafia that safeguards these two individuals, these two young guys who came from far, preventing Sonko from being implicated, like Prof said, and equally showing to the world that democracy exists, and showing that despite the pressure that probably FAYE is receiving from outside, he has done what they asked, dismiss Sonko, and now Sonko has a way back into the system that protects him from probably being implicated in a situation that could lead to him probably leaving the country. Your take on that again?
Yes, as I was just saying, it came to me like these guys, there's something behind. When you look at how these guys, the two, they went to the point, Sonko is FAYE. FAYE is Sonko. There's a marriage that I hardly see FAYE dismissing this guy just like this if there's nothing behind. And for the level of patriotism that they have shown, and seeing what the young generation is trying to bring up in Africa, and to bring up as an example, I still feel something. We haven't seen nothing yet. We are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And they need to show that subtlety, because at the moment we know that we are moving from an unipolar world to a multipolar. And they're not very far from guys who went to the level of really putting even that CFA aside, and putting their own currency to come up. The campaign policy. And now, we just like Cameroon, Senegal and us, we have the same formal colonial master. And we know what hypocrisy that country has shown all over the history. We know the level of hypocrisy. When Doctor was talking, I was just watching him. Unfortunately, he's not with us. I would like him to hear this. I got my first scholarship I was still working in the government, in 1988. And in that year, Cameroon had, a diplomatic arrangement with France and England. For the same course, Francophones were going to a city called Montpellier in France. Anglophones, English-speaking, let's just say, were going to Reading. This is in West London. I said, right at that time, we're talking of something of 40 years ago. Right at that time, I said, I will not go to France. I'm a Francophone. And I asked, the man at the ministry, is it not possible for me to go to England? I'm ready to do all what you asked me to do. They said, there's a possibility. You'll have to do some English training in Cameroon, and we'll register you in a course. And they registered me in a course in Birmingham, Midlands. He knew as he was talking. I saw that. Unfortunately, he left. So I had to go, spend first 3 months to learn English. And I can tell you this goes for many Francophones in Cameroon. Unfortunately, this kind of attitude is for many Francophones. Because we know, Francophones know. It's not that there is a better colonial, no, there's a better colonial master. There's no better colonial master. But at least, you see, with the British man, that guy will say we can fight. We'll fight with him. With the Frenchman, he said we fight. You win him, he said, okay, you have won me. But he's not accepting the defeat. He's going to find any time to pull you down. So we are talking of hypocrisy here. So when you have that level of hypocrisy, and now going from the unipolar world to this multipolar world, there are doors that are opening. We don't know who is advising FAYE also behind. Russia is in the game now. China is all over the place. Be careful. You are not taking arms. You're not taking your weapons like in Niger, like in Mali or Burkina Faso. Do it this way. So I strongly believe something is behind all this. Something is behind. And the way that Malik just resigned, really asked myself many questions. And the way that the new prime minister coming, the way that he releases it, I hope anyway that something is coming out, some level of subtlety. Africa will need to stand and get subtlety. It is late now to stand, carry on complaining. They did that to us. It's battlefield. It's all battlefield. Out there is no friend. And he talked of Africa unity. That's where I'm going to learn from. He was talking of you don't talk of having an organization that cannot fulfill its own financial needs. I'm talking of the one who gives money. That's how the world has been rolling. That's why America is getting lost, because its money now is getting cut now. You have a country that can give you more. China, when they go to a country, they give you the money, they build the routes, and they say, take your time. Give back our money and at lower interest. So all the issues is about money. You cannot say that you have a union where your finances, you are getting it, begging it from West, and say that you have a say. You can't have a say. So forget about that. No, now, we know Russia today is there somewhere. China is somewhere. India is also somewhere. But you need subtlety. It's not to come up and complain, and at the end of the day, give me this, give me. So let us not condemn so easily. I saw it all since. Let us not condemn so easily FAYE. I read a lot and I listened a lot from the journey of that guy. When he came first, he wanted to fulfill all the beautiful dreams that he had with his friend for sovereignty and all this. But my friend, when he go to France, he was not greater than Gaddafi and many more and all this. These guys, they are ready. If they kill people, I'm from Bamileke in Cameroon. That's why I can speak loud. When I say I can't respect. I remember once, and I'll say it in the air. Once I was traveling, and my flight, I had to stop in Paris. They missed the other one. It was not my fault, the company. So they need to give me 2 days in an hotel. I'll say, this is life, big man. This is life. It takes him, I'm telling you. So they gave me 2 days, told me you can leave your passport. You can take 2 days to go wherever you want here in Paris. We have your passport, there's no problem. The Eiffel Tower, I could see it from far, less than 2 kilometers. I'm telling you, and that's why I asked them a visa 3 months ago. They didn't give me a visa because we have been talking all this so much. I told them now I'm fine. I spent all 2 days in the hotel. So we know the level of hypocrisy of our former colonial master. We know all the colonial masters, but at least when I was reading the other day about what we are suffering, at the beginning, the pound was still used also in Kenya, all this, Tanzania, and all this went to it. But even the money, the reserve, they couldn't get it anytime. The text that was the case. Not our case that if to get you, can you imagine that? Money. You want to get part of it, you come and pay interest to get it as a loan? I will never accept that level of hypocrisy. I'm nothing, but I can. So what I'm trying to hope for, just like Prof was developing, is that there's something behind. I hope there's something behind. So. And they will reconcile. If they were not planning through this program, I know someone is listening, or themselves they are listening, they are going to get our advice. You guys, you better reconcile. Our enemy is not from inside, it is from outside. He is from outside.
All right, thank you very much. Our fingers are crossed, and we're keeping an eye on the SONKO, FAYE, and of course Senegal as a whole, and we're looking at where this too will be taking the country to politically, and with regards to preserving the sovereignty of Senegal and keeping to the canon of Pan-Africanism. We are going to talk a bit about Benin. President Ramoud Wadati is now the president in command in Benin after taking over from Patrice Talon, who served 2 terms, 5 years, making a total of 10 years in office and leaving power for another young man to take up the command baton in Benin. We're looking at the example that this sets to other African countries where leaders refuse to leave power. Prof. Magatoni. During the inauguration, we saw the leaders of representatives from AES, that's the Alliance of Sahel States, being invited to that ceremony, which now tells us that Benin is also drawing closer to the Alliance of Sahel States. Prof, another young man in Benin, another vision which we believe is driving towards what many other young people who are now in power in Africa or probably in West Africa are now showing us example. Let's begin with Patrice Talon, leaving power after 10 years, serving his 2 terms as the Constitution says, and handing over peacefully.
Before we get to somebody like Talon, I want to draw a bit from other aspects and other countries in Africa. There is always a foundation and there's always an individual who comes to make a difference at a particular time to transition the country into maturity. But when we look at a country like Ghana, after the different coups that happened from the moment they successfully made Kwame Nkrumah to run away from the country to exit for self-exile because he was being hunted, you saw corruption. Then different persons who were coming in were just struggling to destroy the nation. Then somebody came out from nowhere. John J.J. Rawlings stepped in, washed the country from corruption, established a strong institution, then called for an election. But it took 20 years, but it happened. When he called for the election, he won the first term, the second term he won, and then he gave it. He said, "No, I'm no more running because I want the institution to be strong." The same thing in Nigeria. Democracy in Nigeria might not be what a lot of us would like, but the fact that somebody can come, do his 2 terms of office and leave.
Setting the pace for the next.
Somebody set the pace was that individual. He's still alive. Former president, that's name is running off my mind.
Redman,
The former president was also general, and he had also been a president through coup d'etat. Then later on came back, re-established democracy, did his 2 terms of office, then handed it over. That is to let you know that there are some individuals who work to stabilize and then give room for institutions to take over rather than individuals. Nobody was waiting that Talon Patrice should leave power this early. Following the different crackdowns that have happened in Benin and the different protests and riots that have happened, and at a particular time people were even afraid that he wanted to change the constitution so that he can stay indefinitely in power. And recently a coup d'etat took place that was intended to destroy what he was planning. Successfully, he still stayed in power, then did not run again. So he established, this is a precedent for the next. The fact that there was a swift transition, a simple transition of power that did not create any, in fact no foreigner came in to help for that to happen, tells you something is building. They successfully said, okay, let me go me and continue my business. Then you take over, you are the president of the nation, you run the nation. And he handed power. I saw the same thing, even though it's not like that, but look at what happened in Senegal today, where the prime minister, the former prime minister who had been dismissed, did not say, I'm not going to go back there. No, there was no amenity there. He said, this proof of patriotism. He said, no bitterness here, please. I was in this office, I officially hand it over to you, and where I ended, this where I ended, because that's the business. This where I ended, this is what I did, this is what I did, so that you can now know what to do from them. Because when you don't hand over, it seems as if the other person is coming in a vacuum. But once there is handing over, there is continuity. There is continuity. Okay, now we have a new president, and if I see the topic there, Benin versus the continent, I don't know if it's like on the continent.
The continent.
No, we're talking about the continent as a whole, as Africa as a whole, not the continent.
Oh, you were talking about the continent? Talking about what's called the continent.
This is Africa.
Why you not put versus Africa? Then because we know that there's one continent here that's in the whole continent. Cameroon is the continent.
No.
So,
You name it. You succeeded to name it at the end.
We're talking about Africa as a whole, and we're looking at the different leaders who, decide to stay longer in power. Yeah.
So with that, if you realize and start comparing what has happened in Benin with what is happening in Cameroon, you might have a heartbreak.
No, we're talking about there's also Ivory Coast. Yeah.
You want to compare with it in Uganda, you might have a heartbreak. You want to take it and compare what is happening even in Ivory Coast, you might end up not being able to walk well. If you want, let's just look at some of these countries in Africa. One thing is, I have said several times here, I'm not a fan of democracy. I'm not a fan of it. Democracy is a Western strategy to manipulate people. The whole idea of democracy from their perspective, because I think democracy should be defined by every people based on what they feel that they want from it. They should give it a content, not borrowing the content. We should take the carcass, put the content in it, and make it ours, not that we borrow ideologies that do not fit with our people. It is very wrong. So, look at what is happening in Rwanda. They might say that Paul Kagame is a dictator, as some people call him. He's a warmonger, as some people call him. But there's one thing I've noticed about him: he's doing everything possible to develop his nation for his people. Even if he's going to wound other people, but he's making sure he does everything for his people. And I think that those are the kind of people that Africa needs, who think for the good of the people, not for themselves. When you think for the good of the people, it doesn't matter how long you take. Gaddafi was in power for more than 30 years. The people of Libya never saw a problem with that because he, as an individual, was working for them. And because he was working for them, everything that he had was benefiting them, and was more to it, he started working for Africa. When he started thinking towards the greater good of Africa, bringing in gold to create a monetary system for Africa, that became the point of his death. The Westerners allied and killed him, claimed that he was a dictator. Where have you seen a dictator? Okay, why have they not targeted others in Europe? I'm sure there are people who have been ruling for more than 15 years in Europe, even more than 20 years in Europe. Why have they not gone for them? Why is it that Africa is the only place that they think that when somebody rules for a long period of time is a dictator? And once you do things for your people and stop them, you are dangerous.
You're a terrorist.
So I think we need to be able to understand. I like what is happening in Benin. It might not be at the measure in which we might expect, but what has started there is just the best. We hope for better days. We hope that this move can be copied by other nations, and we should build a continent. The problem is not the fact that 2 terms of office and he has handed over. No. What he has done in this is 2 terms of office, I mean Patrice Talon,
Yeah.
is very, very recommendable. And he's not only developed his country, go to Benin today. It is not the same Benin that you knew 10 years ago. If you had visited Benin City, you have gone to Benin before, and you go to Benin now, you see a big difference.
The bridge only that in Douala, that we know here in Cameroon.
Yeah.
For in Benin, you have three big, I say three
Yes.
big bridges.
So,
Beautiful, well maintained and all.
so just imagine the capacity that he brought in. I'm sure the next person is going to carry on with the same. So that's where I
All right.
am today.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Mr. Tagia, you started talking about development, and many are, commending Patrice Talon for what he's achieved in just 10 years. And after that 10 years, power is sweet, but we saw him living as a hero and handing over to another person, which is what we believe that many other African countries should copy. Despite what he has achieved, despite the praises he's received from what he has achieved, he preferred to hand over power following the constitution.
I like that topic when I saw it. Why? Because formally, from the way, let me just start by talking about democracy, coming back to that again. And, the way the West put democracy, people take us like African that cannot think. Where democracy was invented where? In Athens. Centuries, years ago. How was it invented and what does it mean? When you talk of power to the people, power to the people, you take in account their own culture right from the beginning. It's not the issue of number that they bring to us. That power to the people means we can come and cheat the elections and say that, okay, fine. You guys, you had 60% of this one, over 40% of that one, so the 60% is good. We cheat, we do everything in the game to make sure that we obtain it like that. Because that's what, when they talk about democracy, that we can take examples over example. That's what they did in what the war we have today. It came from Obama in Ukraine. In Ukraine, there was a president that was democratically elected. Was elected in 2014. And because America wanted a powerful base over there, so they removed it. They found a reason, put him up and put this man that we have there, the puppet calling himself the president. You can take cases over cases. They always bring a reason. They went to Iraq. They brought a reason. With Gaddafi, they say no, that's not the democracy. That guy has been there too long. Too long taking it. Comparing it to what? England for how many years? The president is there. The prime minister is just there to rule about the issue. Take Spain. These are kingdoms. They work, but they talk about democracy. They talk about democracy, Japan, and all these. You take all these countries. You look at the case of Ghana. When Rowling came, they say, no, that cannot work. That guy is making this terrorism. You cannot spare 20 years. That guy took 20 years, just like Prof developed, to put into place institutions that can be viable, that can be used to develop the country. Because the most important is patriotism. When these guys come, they destroy patriotism, they divide, and they come back and say, we are going to set elections. Knowing that, because we saw in Cameroon, nobody lies about that anymore. When you say, we saw agents from the United Nations coming to any country before the elections, the report has never been seen by Cameroonians and all this. We saw all how they work. So talking of democracy, we need to be subtle. Africa need to be subtle. But I was saying that I have changed my views. Before, I was really very skeptical about democracy giving good results in Africa. When I look at our feudal past, our feudal system, right in history, the king has always been seen as the man next to God. So in the mind of people, the president is the man next to God. That's why you see in our settings, you take the case of Cameroon, whatever Mr. Biya will do when he appoints a minister, that guy in the village, that thing, we have now the man that can approach the man next to God. And the man himself is not really serving the country, he's serving the president. He wants to make the president happy. He wants to make sure that when the president is going to do the next appointment, he's going to appoint him. So no idea of really resignation can be in his mind, because all what he has to do is to please the man above. So basically, before I was very skeptical about that issue of democracy, until I came to countries like Benin. I visited Benin. I spent 2 weeks in Cotonou. My God, we talk of moto, as that we call in Cameroon, Ben scheme. That country, that big capital, I don't know if things have changed. That big capital, you don't have taxis, motos, clean. Everyone with a number. There's an image I will never forget. When the red light come, you hear the sound, ooh, because everybody is braking, the cars, the motors, and all this, that red light. When the green light come, ooh, everybody respect that, and the guy has his number. So it's localized, it's identified, and all this. I said, Benin is today for me an example. And you look at the country, it's not a country with big resources. They don't have big resources. But these guys, they manage the little that they have. And I said, I had a lot of hope from Benin. Why? Because I said, that's a country that if what you were saying is not possible, that our French people will have taken them, turned them upside down as they want. So democracy can work. It can work. It is possible. Provided you have people, this word is for me powerful, patriotic people. That's where everything starts. If it is as God people, you talk of love. But you love once you love your country, you go above your personal needs or whatever. And that way, as I said, coming back to our first topic, that I was very skeptical when I saw the issue concerning the budget of the president, of the prime minister, and the budget, and that way the two had a problem. Once you have people who think about that little boy that pass his second, pass his master degree and all this, and come back on the motorcycle. Think about that woman that spent time selling bananas, on the street with the sun over the head. As you see, Yaya, Mr. Yayi, he used to take to go behind the motorcycle to feel how these guys, when they are driving the Benz skin, when they are driving the motor, how do they feel? But that's a country. Mr. Yayi, he spent 10 years. He left. After 10 years, 2006 to 2016. From 2016 to 2026, you have Mr. Talon, and now he's leaving it to the... These are people who look at them above themselves. I will land by this one to say we need to reach that level. I admire a lot with Beniners. When once the man was helping me, driving me there over in Cotonou, a friend of mine was helping me. Once we are just crossing the main road, and he said, "Don't put your finger where I'm going to show you. Just look at it." And we are passing, and he said, "That's where the president stays." Can you imagine? In the city, not something special where you have guards of militaries, police, and all this. He said, "Please don't point your finger because although you see it like that, there are cameras all over the place watching." But that's where the president. So the president lives among his people. The president feels what his people feel, and that's what a president has to be. And that's why I say again, that's an example. If we can dream of democracy, it starts all by patriotism. Patriotism means to feel from the truckman to the wealthiest man, how do they live to go from there? And then when they are patriotic, we can talk of democracy and it works. Because that guy is not there for selfish reasons, he's there to see his people being happy, what he has done, and next day we carry on that way. That's my own contribution on this issue of Benin. This is an admirable country.
All right, Benin, quite an admirable country, and we're looking at the new president and fingers are crossed and watching him where he takes his country to, especially with regards to international relations or regional relations. Now we're seeing him moving closer to the Alliance of Sahel States. And Prof, just you talk briefly and why your concluding statement. When you see Benin moving closer to the Alliance of Sahel States and the fact that we're talking about power addiction, which one you want to close on? Will you talk about Benin moving towards the AES, which is now gaining popularity after the breaking away from ECOWAS? We know Benin is still a member of ECOWAS, but then it's now showing interest towards the AES.
I want to think diplomacy is different from going towards a particular bloc. diplomacy says that you should have a nice relationship with your neighbors. And the AES bloc are the neighbors of Benin. And so it is very obvious, even though they have left ECOWAS, to be seen as fellow presidents and nations that are sister nations, to be invited to participate in such an event. So I don't want to look at it from that polemic of saying that maybe they are pulling towards the AES. But I also want to say that
if AES is succeeding over ECOWAS,
I am also thinking that every young African and has it in mind to see how, especially those of us that have been held under the sway of France for more than, should I say, a century now, every one of us wants to see them live. We believe that the way Africa is today, especially the French let me not use, I want to say colonies, even though we say we are independent, but we still seem to be colonies, because we still use the same colonial France that used to be used, so we have a problem there. So I think that every one of us who is in these 14 nations that use this France CFA wants to see France let go. And if there is something to learn from the Sahel states, I think Benin will want to take advantage to learn it, so that they can do better and be in a better position to have sovereign decisions over their nations. And I think it is time for France to also realize that letting go does not mean that they are weak. Letting go could be a way to actually promote better relationship. And so when we make the whole thing look as if when we separate from them, it is war. No, it's not a war. It's a right for African states
to choose the best,
to truly be free. And not just being free, it permits them to actually know how to relate now with those who actually colonized them. Don't forget it, we have it in heart that all Africans who have been under colonization have a pain that needs to be resolved, and you cannot resolve that pain still being under neocolonialism. And that is what is happening. We are practically being economically colonized right now as we are talking. We are under economic colonization. I don't see a reason why you should let go of a nation. You say you are independent, they control their finance. Every nation that does not have independent in its currency, that does not control the economy of its nation, of its state, cannot claim that it's independent. If you do not have control of your economy, you are not independent. And how do you control your economy? You should have your own currency. Once you do not have a currency, you do not know where the reserves are, you are not independent. So it is just a sham. They have declared over 14 nations independent, but they are still under their sway.
Right.
So it is a taboo that we should be in the 21st century and suffering from such an inhumane practice that was instituted centuries back by the Westerners. So it is very important that we realize where we are. We are not doing a favor to Africans when we separate from the close clause of France. We are doing them a favor. We are doing them, the French people, a favor. So I think they should let go, free Africa, and permit the world to become a better place. Because struggling to control us seems as if we are animals. We are not. We think that is an insult to the intellect.
To the intellect in general, to themselves. To themselves.
Okay,
they are not being real.
All right, thank you, Prof. And I'll end with you, Mr. Tagia. We're looking at Benin now showing interest towards the Alliance of Sahel States, and we're looking at ECOWAS, which now stands as an institution that was playing the role of the oppressor, or dancing to the tune of the one that pays it or that finances it. Now, the AES now is gaining more popularity, and we're seeing countries gradually moving towards the AES. We've seen Togo as well, and now Benin, considering the invitation that they answered during the inauguration of the new president.
Well, I'll give my view in two angles. The first one is, for me, it's very important that we, as African people, we don't talk talk about the colonial masters today. Because in fact, our first topic was going in that same angle, looking at them as enemies. In international diplomacy, and that's why I say that we have passed that period of complaining. We need to be more subtle, being on the table, knowing that this is how the game works. At the same time, we tell France, mostly because we are talking of France here, these are countries that were behind France, we tell France, we have nothing against you. If you want to buy, for example, a car, and you have a car that gives a better standards, technical and all this, we don't see why we should buy from you. We should not buy from you if the cost also is good and all. So it's a matter of competition. It's not that now you have to come from behind and try to put up, because we want our people to be to be a betterment of our people and all. And he is ready to listen to the competition, what others are offering. That's all we are talking about. So talking about Benin and talking of ISP countries and all this, I would not like us to put them even in mind of the political body there in Benin, I don't think, and I don't think so, that they are going there, like trying to join them or whatever, but as way to say, they are their neighbors. They are their neighbors. I know, over there, it's not like for us here in Central Africa. Already, they move from one country easily, from one to the next country. Now, from there, maybe through collaboration, through the diplomatic links and all, they will see that maybe it would be better to join them. It might not be, it shouldn't be like to fight against France. No. Because for me, at the end of the day, taking the case of Cameroon, myself, I usually ask, okay, you guys, you want us to have our own money. What do we produce? What do we develop really? When we produce, what do we transform? That really where you have a value added to the money, and that way you can talk of a currency. We're not talking of a value of, because we can have wood, because we can have cocoa and all this, that even it's been jeopardized and sold maybe 1/10 of its value and all this. That's what keeps a value to money, because money is not just the paper, not just the coin. What stands behind that? Because at the end of the day, one day we are going to collapse to what really America is knowing today, because America has been pulling dollars all over the world. Now the world is standing. And see, these guys, they are in debt. What do these dollars represent now? Seeing every country now is trying to keep back its gold and all this. So having private currency doesn't only that. Benin has to sit and see what do we produce. Like you see all the big plan that is the young president, Mr. Traore. He came in Burkina. He put big plans like for production, transformation of food crops and all this. That's what is going to give money, value added to money that they are building on. Not only talking of pulling out the France CFA. What do we produce to give value to that? So let us not look at it as a way of fighting against, because even there is no way. And I think when you listen to new speeches from France, I think that France is getting that lesson. That time to come and impose is passing. It's passing. The multipolar world. It's passing. Before, I remember 20 years ago, you couldn't have Chinese coming all the way, bypassing France people and selling their things at their prices. We are saying and give 10 years for us to not only see Chinese cars, because they offer better. You buy them cheaper. They don't consume a lot and all. That one is the truth. So go and do better, and everybody's going to go. So it's a world of competition. So let us not think that they are going to the country of the people of Sahel because maybe they want. No. They go, if there's a better to offer there, they can go there. And now, as I'm saying, we have to look at it also in the other angle. To know that, again, we said it before, we are in a world where the jungle life is there, still there. It's fight, it's battle. You know, everybody battles to survival is there. So it's not the world to come and complain any longer. Complain, you kill us. No, the reality. What do you do now to stand up as a man? The little even that you have, Benin has that little. And they can produce rather than having like in Cameroon, you hear people who can accumulate billions that can be used to give job to these young people. People, you're one person accumulating, not a businessman, from the public fund accumulating. So even that little, what do we do about that little to do that? So I feel that also it will be important to look at ourselves and know and see the life as it is, not dreaming, not remaining dream. It's a reality.
All right.
And sit and go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sagia from Hong Kong. You're a civil society actor. We thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Prof. Mark Anthony, you're a Pan-Africanist. It was a pleasure having you on today's program. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all mine. And see you. I also want to greet my friend who just left Cameroon today. Yes, I think today early in the morning, and I think he should be presently where he was traveling to. Where my tongue to.
That's a true Pan-Africanist. Thank you. We had as well Dr. David Matsanga, who was joining us by Zoom, and you was watching us. Thank you so very much. We had as a topic of discussion today, we're looking at Senegal, FAYE, the SONKO governance crisis or democratic correction. Our fingers are crossed as we continue to watch and observe these two young people in Senegal. We also had time to talk about Benin versus the continent. We're talking about whether it's a direct comparison of what is happening in Benin as well as in other African countries, power overstayers, and of course we had our guests who were discussing this topic with us. We want to thank you so very much for always tuning in and watching Afrique Media. We invite you to stay with us. Of course, more programs are yours and right ahead. Bye-bye for now. And equally, a big shout out and thank you to our technicians. Bye-bye for now.